This is Dr. Craig Rolls, Green Valley Chiropractic Wellness Center. I'm a board-certified chiropractic internist and clinical nutritionist. So welcome you to our health and wellness series. Tonight we're talking about purification, and welcome everybody here tonight as well. Great to have you all here. And as I mentioned, we have classes here ongoing every week, and starting in October will be once a month. Classes are now being posted live on Facebook as well as on YouTube. You can reach our channel at Green Valley Chiropractic and see our classes there online as well.
We get really front row.
Okay, so we're going to talk about purification. So what is purification? Why do we do purification?
Cleansing of the body.
Cleansing your body, right? Detoxification, right? Those are the terms that we're familiar with, right? So really what I want to do is I want to, as in all of our classes, really try to keep it as simple as we possibly can. My goal really every time is to teach you more about the physiology of the body, how the body works, because I believe once you understand a little bit more of how the body actually works, it just makes life decisions a lot easier. And then when you take a life decision and you apply it to your own body, and all of a sudden you're sleeping better and your energy is improving and you're losing weight and you're feeling good, is that then it really starts to make sense. I was talking to a patient today who said, actually in this patient, interesting relationship, but she has severe back pain at times, and we have found that she has a direct connection between her gut and her back. And every time that she gets off program, eating more of a Western style diet, she moves into more back pain. And this last time it was quite severe, level 9, 10 pain. And so we put her on a purification for her, and along with that with chiropractic, pain went back down to from a 10 down to a 1. Took a couple of weeks. But she's had that happen so many times now that it's just I was talking to her today. Says, yeah, she understands. I understand from my body I need to keep it healthy. And that's really my point. My point is, I'm going to show it tonight, that I believe we live in an environment in our country that's wrong on many different accounts. And probably one of the biggest accounts is that we oftentimes deal with things that we struggle with, an illness or pathology or disease or some type of problem with our body, and we really feel that that's our end point. We can't get out of it. We can't change it. There's nothing we can do about it. In fact, I'm not even responsible for it even happening. It just happened to me. And I think that is that not true for a lot of people? That kind of ring home for most. I think in America that's quite true, right? And when they're called, when a person says you have diabetes, even though we know all the literature is out there about eating and stuff like that, we still feel ultimately that the reason why I had this diagnosis is because there's something wrong with my body, and it's not because of me, it's because I have this thing. And so in Western medicine, what do? We take a pill for the purpose of trying to fix the condition. And in the area of diabetes, and a great example, is we try to maintain that with drugs, and what are we really working on at that point? Are we really working on the cause of the problem, or are we trying to manage it? It's medical management, right? So what we really have here is we have a condition called diabetes. We're taking medications, maybe metformin, maybe insulin. Very important for some people, even to keep them to stay alive. But the bottom line is the management of that becomes more of, let's make sure your medications are good. As long as your medications are good and your numbers are good, we're okay. I'm about to tell you that's not okay. Why is that not okay? I'll just put that out to the group. Why is that not okay? Nancy?
Because you're not really addressing the issue.
You're not addressing the issue. Diabetes type 2 is clearly a lifestyle problem. It doesn't come from the sky. It doesn't come from infection. It doesn't come from some mystery place that all of a sudden you have it. Oh my gosh, I have diabetes. It's like a label, No, this is something you bring on yourself, So I want you to take a look at the board. You have a question, you can go ahead and speak.
What's a Western diet? You keep saying Western.
Well, it's interesting. The Western diet is actually called and coined the Standard American Diet, which stands for SAD, which is the SAD diet. Nothing could be more true. Yeah, which is 62% processed foods, 28% animal products, 10% vegetables, half of which are our favorites, chips and fries. Leaving only 5% for the food that I believe brings life, which is what? Whole food vegetables. Number one, by far. Hey, Brian.
Hi.
So we have to understand that there's a reason for this. And one of the reasons I love teaching is because it's about empowerment. It's about recognizing that, the reason why I have this problem I'm dealing with may be because something I may have done in the past. And if it's something I may have done, I might be able to make a different choice. And if I make a different choice, then I may have a different outcome. So this is the American diet. So what is the effect of SAD, the standard American diet? What is that? What part of the body does it affect the most? It affects everything. Like sugar affects everything. It affects the gut. It destroys this whole digestive system and the gut. That's really important. Why is that important? What's the digestive system do?
The immune system.
Is the immune system's in the gut? Absolutely. Even if we go up higher, say up into the stomach and the liver, that digestive system, what's it responsible for?
Detoxification of the body.
Before the liver. Say stomach and up in here, stomach and gallbladder.
Distribute the.
We're trying to break down. The first step is digestion. Okay? Let's take it to a very simplistic nature. Your body needs nutrients in every cell of the body, right? It requires nutrients to function and to work. So where do those nutrients come from? Food and beverages and liquids. Water, green juices, they come from food, right? So how does that food, what in the food is nourishing the body? Protein, carbohydrates, minerals, vitamins, enzymes, micronutrients, all those things that make up food, right? And it's like your building block. It builds like we talked last week. It's the part that creates the body. Now, if the body starts to break down, would it not make sense that you may want to make sure it at least has proper materials to build, to rebuild and repair, right? So it starts with digestion, okay? That's number one. And the SAD, Standard American Diet, destroys digestion. What's one of the most common pills? Probably, I think it's maybe the third on the top seller list, billions of dollars worth of revenue every year that's taken by the American public. It's purple in color. And acid, right? And we've talked about this already a little bit. Quite honestly, I feel it's on the level of criminal. I just really feel that way. And I only say that because does the pill make you feel better? Yes, it does. Is part of medicine about making you feel better? Yes, it is. But come on, let's be aware of physiology, how the body works, and let's at least make sure we're supporting that. Okay? So the stomach is the start of digestion, right? So the stomach needs to have a pH of 1.5 to 2.0. That's like so acidic that it'll melt anything. You drop a penny in a solution of pH of 1.5, it's going to melt. It's just going to melt. And so think about it. I got this hot spot inside my stomach that's so acidic. Then we say we have an acid stomach. Well, of course you should have an acid stomach. But when someone says they have an acid stomach, what are they really saying? It hurts, exactly. I've got heartburn. And that doesn't come from acid because the stomach is acid. That's a healthy stomach. Okay? So it comes from what? It comes from the standard American diet, which raises the level of acid, raises the level of the pH, so it lowers the acid, makes it harder to break down the food. So if you have food sitting in your gut and it's not getting broken down, what do you get? It's like a bunch of sandwiches sitting in the sink for a month or 2 months at a time. What's it going to look like? Yep. It's going to start to ferment, right, and start to boil and bubble. And what is that? What's that called?
Gas.
Fermentation, right? Yeah. And what's fermentation going to create? Gas, acid stomach. So the acid reflux. So the acid the person's typically feeling is not from the acid that's in their stomach. It's supposed to be acid. It's coming from the fermentation of those foods that are just not breaking down from not enough acid. So what do they give you? They give you an antacid, which does what? It helps with the fermentation byproducts, right? So the acid from the fermentation, so it makes you feel better, right? But what's the ultimate outcome? The ultimate outcome is what acid levels then go down. So what happens the next time you have a meal? You can't break down the food. So then what happens? Fermentation. Then what happens? Acid stomach. And it's the design of a perfect drug. It's a drug that you depend upon, that you have to take to feel good. And again, I'm not a doomsday kind of guy, and I don't really believe in the in the smoked rooms, and they kind of design all this stuff against society. But bottom line, a lot of this is driven by economics. And bottom line, the purple pill does nothing to help a person achieve a healthier body. It does not do that, okay? And so one of the first things you can see in purification is probably the one medication that typically a person can become free of. Because once you get that system working better, fermentation doesn't occur, so you don't have that acid buildup, so you don't have that acid stomach, so guess what? You don't need that acid pill. Okay, really, really important. So that's the start of the whole process. So the standard American diet is causing a huge part of this problem because of how it destroys the digestive system and the gut. What's on the other side? What's over here? Toxins, right? So toxins and the standard American diet, between the two of them, okay, create 95% of cancer and degenerative disease. 95%. That's like all, right? Autoimmune disease, heart disease, diabetes, obesity, hormone imbalances, GI disturbance, kidney disease, neurological disorders, dementia, Alzheimer's. We want to try to hold on to our brain, don't we? Anxiety, depression, infertility. How many have felt anxious or anxious or even depressed at times? Now, obviously, there's many, many reasons for that, okay? But if you don't have a healthy body, it's harder to deal with those stresses. Infertility, chronic fatigue. So again, my whole point is if you're dealing with really pretty much one of the problems when we look at the body, when we look at illness, we look at disease, is that we have a situation where we have an outcome like a disease coming from the same process in almost every situation. So it's almost like for the purposes of your health, it's not important to know what the name of the disease is. Because in every situation, you can benefit from making your body healthier. True? And so doesn't it make sense then if I'm going to make my body healthier, may I learn a little bit about what makes it unhealthy, right? And that's what I'm going to show today. Okay, so we got the standard American diet and the toxins. This is really crazy. Now, 150 years ago, 1800s, we didn't have all these toxins, right? We also didn't have all this processed food. Guess what else we didn't have? Heart disease. It did not exist. It wasn't even on the map. It was not even on the map. Okay, so it's the number one killer. So the number one killer comes from what? Comes from our world. Okay. Now here's another doomsday thing. A person can say, "Oh my gosh, I live in a toxic world. I can't do anything about it. So woe is me." Right? That's really kind of a cop-out. Really, that's just saying, "Hey, I really don't want to get healthier. Just want to kind of assume that I'm going to be living this life that I got." Well, that's not true. There's a lot of things you can do, but I do want to point out what we're living in first. Okay. We have 80,000 chemicals that are registered in the United States. 800 million pounds of herbicides produced every year and used every year. They did a study of people, where they did a blood analysis, and these are people that did not have reported environmental illness or environmental toxicity. Every one of those had the average of 167 industrial chemicals in their body. That's each and every one of you. So most likely we have anywhere from 100 to 150 chemicals in our body. What's that come from? It comes from wastewater. It comes from us dumping drugs in the system, because all this stuff comes back. All this stuff comes back. We live in a closed loop in our environment. Air pollution, number one health threat. In 2012, the World Health Federation said that where 7 million people died from air pollution alone, making it the number one health threat. Pesticides, 1 billion pounds annually. Food, chemical additives. 80% of the chemicals that are added to food are toxic. And in other countries are not allowed. But in America they are. So why would we allow 80% of food additives, which are chemically toxic to the human body, why would we allow them in America?
Population control.
Very good, Charlie. I love it.
Money.
It's all driven by money, yeah. Just like the GMO, genetically modified. It's not allowed in Europe. And why? How did they make that happen? Why don't we have that here? Why can't we just say, no GMO here, we don't want it here, get out of here? They did that in Europe. How do you think they did that in Europe? called the tipping point. People buy or people don't. So if you buy GMO, you're just helping that industry stay in effect. Basically what happens, you dry it up, they don't have a choice but to make an economic decision not to work in our country, you know. And we're actually close to that, but you really, and to, you know, share with you, corn, soy, 95% of it is GMO. If it does not say organic, okay, it's GMO. If it doesn't say non-GMO or organic corn or soybean, it's GMO. And so guess what? If you're at a restaurant and you're ordering corn, if you really want to help your body and you also want to help our country, don't order the corn unless they can tell you it's organic or non-GMO. Otherwise, it's for sure GMO. Cleaning supplies, they estimate that 54% increase in death of women who stay in homes. 54% increase. Okay. Yep. And there's a solution to that also. There's so many products now. Melaleuca has a line. doTERRA has a line. Essential oils. We use actually an essential oil we love called On Guard. We use that for cleaning our floors. And you know that same oil you can put in your mouth if you have a cold. So it's like cleaning fluid in your mouth. What can you imagine? So it's just very, very non-toxic to the environment. There's a lot of ways you can get around that.
Dawn dish soap, I mean, it's oil, food oil.
Cosmetics. What's in cosmetics?
Every day.
Yeah. What's the most common chemical in cosmetics? Very dangerous. Hormones. Yeah. Change your hormone system completely. So you have to be aware they have to be hormone free. Really important. Plastics. What do plastics do? Again, 150 years ago, there was none. Right? Plastic and cancer go like this. And also hormone imbalance. Because plastic create a thing called xenoestrogens, and xenoestrogens have an estrogen-like effect, and rise in estrogen can cause cancer. So you have to recognize that plastic use is really very, very dangerous, potentially dangerous. So simple things like if you have a water bottle, don't use a recurring plastic water bottle. Use a metal one. Use glass or steel. Okay. If you do buy a water bottle at the store, make sure you don't refill it. Just drink it and let it go. Make sure the plastic is a safe plastic. They do have BPA-free plastics that you can purchase now because of this. Okay. And then drugs, last one. So we live in this toxic world. So tonight's class is all about recognizing that, you know, from the get-go, we're kind of like, from the get-go, you can walk through. From the get-go, we're in a difficult place. We're in a world that's very, very toxic. And because we're in a toxic world, we can have challenges with our health, right? Yes. Also, we may not have been eating all that great. We may be part of the Sad American diet, or we may be all in, right? So we just want to recognize where we've been and also what we can do to make that change. Okay, and that's what really was purification is all about. So good. It's a very powerful first step, and I'll explain to you why. Okay. So again, going from a very simplistic nature of teaching, toxins, better out or in? Toxins, better out or in? Out, obviously, right? I don't want to. Right? So what's the body going to do? Where do toxins come from? We've just went through that, right? So let's walk through the journey. So toxin comes in your body. How does it come in?
To the environment.
May come through your skin, okay, especially cosmetics or something like that. Yep. May come through your lungs and your mouth, breathing in, right? How else? Food, yeah, mouth. So it's important to know the body already has defense mechanisms for all these things to a certain degree. But if you bombard that system too hard, it's kind of hard to win the battle, right? So that's why the acid levels are supposed to be so high, because it fries all those toxins, just kills them on the spot, okay? Your lungs have the ability to cleanse. They have all kinds of buffer systems inside them. The healthy lungs will, to help to remove a lot of the toxins, so even before they get in. So we already have a lot of barriers that help in that process, okay? But let's assume some of those toxins get in the body. So when they get in the body, all right, then what's the body going to try to do? Well, it's going to try to get it out of the body, right? So we talked about the toxins coming in. So many of the defense mechanisms will keep them from coming in, but now it's in the body. So now it's in the body, might be in the lungs, might be in your digestive system, could be anywhere, right? So what's the body going to try to do? It's going to try to eliminate them. So how does it do that?
Probably through the fat.
Toxins are notoriously hard on the body. And what part of the body will attack foreign substances?
Oh, what?
Immune system.
Immune system, what's that?
So part of this process is the immune system to help to attack the foreign elements inside those elements. And if it can effectively do that and make a change in that chemical, then it can process through the bodies and relieve it. But let's assume that the toxin can't get out of the body and we can't prevent it from coming in, then what's the body going to do? It's going to store it. Now think about this. Again, it's being simplistic minded, which is, I think, a really important thing to do with the body. A toxin, better by itself or better somehow covered in some way? Toxin better by itself or covered in some way? Right? Toxin by itself, very dangerous. So a toxin, when it comes inside the body recognizes this is a substance that I can't get rid of. I need to protect myself. And so the way the body protects itself is to wrap it in, anybody want to say?
Fat.
In fat. So the fat cells are what encapsulate around that toxin. So one of the reasons why losing weight, as an example, is so challenging for people is because they're toxic. Because the fat is more important for safety than it is for your looks. Right? And so what would you have to do first if you want to reduce that fat cell size? How would you do that? If all your fat cells are full of toxins, but you want to make those fat cells smaller, what would our first step have to be? Would it be running? Would it be eating better? Would it be... You could do that. A lot of people do that. Absolutely. It's funny, I was reading an article today that says, do fat cells disappear? No, they don't, unless you use surgery. Okay.
So technically, the visceral fat is protecting your organs.
Fat in the body in this circumstance is protecting your body against those very toxins. So if you want to be effective in helping to free your body of that fat, what do you have to do first? Not exercise, not water. You have to detox.
Purification.
You have to get the toxins out of the body. Okay, so let's talk about that. So down here, here's the fat cell. Here's our little toxins. Okay, little red little critters, right? So phase one of detoxification, where does that occur? So we talked about digestive system, right? So we've been talking about the stomach, right? Now we're in the liver. That's where most detoxification occurs. Okay, so detoxification is a 3-phase process, and we want to recognize what are we dealing with. We're dealing with toxins that are inside a fat cell, right? And that's this guy right here. So phase one is unlock, because we can't. The body's not the body. Why is the body storing this in the first place? Why is the body fat cell storing the toxin? Because it can't get rid of it.
Yeah.
That's the whole point. Can't get rid of it. So if the body can't get rid of it, it stores it. So we're trying to help the body so it can get rid of it. Okay, so we're going to assist that process. Okay, so what's the first thing we need to do? We have to unlock. Unlock means we need to actually remove the fat cell lining and get these toxins exposed to the environment, which is not what we want to do. We don't want to leave it like that. Why do we not want to leave it like that?
It's dangerous.
It's dangerous, right? How many people have ever heard or maybe experienced yourself doing a cleanse or some kind of detox and having a wicked weekend? I mean, terrible cough and cold. And oftentimes that's because they work on phase one detox without supporting phase two. If you don't support phase two, you can be in a lot of trouble. And this is an instant thing, so it's not like all these things are hanging out. They're being processed, okay? So phase one is unlocked. That's phase one. And what they're doing is they're exposing those toxins. Why do we want to expose the toxins? Because we're helping the body to remove those toxins. But those toxins right now can't be eliminated from the body. That's why they're putting the fat cell in the first place, because they haven't been able to get rid of these, okay? They're very toxic substances. So then other chemicals have to come into play, which is part of purification, and then have to neutralize those toxins. So there's actual chemicals, and most of these are actually found in green leafy vegetables, okay? High green, because it supports your liver. But the SP Detox Balance Shake, the shake that we use in the purification process, helps to neutralize these highly toxic substances. And so when they neutralize them, what do they turn them into? CO2 and H2O. What are those two things?
Carbon dioxide and water.
Carbon dioxide and water. Carbon dioxide is a gas.
Yes.
How does it leave the body?
Breathing.
Through the lungs and the skin. Okay? H2O is
Water.
water. How does it leave the body? Through peeing and through the skin. Right? So are carbon dioxide and water in those forms safe or not safe? They're safe. So you see how we're helping the body. Can you see that here? The body has not been able to get rid of the toxins, so allowing us to build in weight and build in problems. We help to remove those toxins out of the fat cell to where they're exposed, but we rapidly neutralize those into carbon dioxide and water, which now we can help them to release. So how do they release? So skin, right? Kidneys. So all the blue arrows here, that's the release of the toxins. So your lungs, that's the air, through the air you breathe, releasing the CO2. Lymphatics are amazing systems. Does anybody know what a lymphatic is? This is a really cool thing, so I'll talk about this for a moment. Because they're really important. We know what the cardiovascular system is, right? Cardiovascular system is what? It's our blood, our arteries, and our veins. What's the purpose of our cardiovascular system? To move blood, right? So we have, the old pictures, got the red and we got the blue, right? So when it's red, that's when we're loaded full of nutrients and oxygen in that blood, going through your body. And what's it doing? It's delivering all those nutrients we talked about, okay, to all the parts of the body and oxygen, which is what? Which is vital for life. And if you have those elements in your body at high levels, guess what? Really, disease should not exist. I mean, it really should just be a natural aging process. Even going through menopause, natural aging process, okay? As we get older, natural aging process. Not like I need to take 10 medications or 15 medications and I'm drooling on my bedside till I die. That's not a natural aging process, okay? So that's the blood system. The lymphatics are really very interesting. Lymphatics pick up all the waste products. Now, the body is it's just amazing how God made our body. So at the end of the artery, before it becomes a vein, does anybody know what that is? So you have the artery, right, and you have the vein. So there's a system here. Does anybody know what that's called? Capillaries. Very good. And the capillaries are very, very small, minute, very small. They're still vessels, but they're very small. So small that the blood cells had to line up one by one to get through. And why do they line up one by one? Because the red blood cell, like you're that cell, right? You have nutrients inside you and oxygen inside you. You want to get that out to the body, right? So if you have a whole bunch of cells around you, it's kind of hard to get it out. So you want to have nothing around you so you can expose your beautiful stuff to the body. So it goes through one by one so all those nutrients can get released into the body. Then it goes into the veins, which is simply about pulling that blood back up to the lungs where it can get, you take the waste products, that's the carbon dioxide and the waste materials out. Now, so we're describing lymphatics. That's what we got to that topic. So the capillary beds, which are really important. A couple things I do have to say about capillaries. What do we know about diabetes? What's one of the problems of diabetes? What are some of the complications? Some of the complications of diabetes. Bad circulation, heart disease, loss of arms, loss of eyes, loss of kidneys. So a lot of that's occurring because the capillary beds, where this exchange is taking place, where the oxygen is being released and the nutrients are being released, and the carbon dioxide is coming back in, and the waste products from the body are coming back in to be taken back to the lungs for purification. That capillary bed is being destroyed by diabetes. It removes the ability for that exchange to take place. The lack of circulation oftentimes occurs in that place. That's why oftentimes people lose their legs and lose their arms and lose their kidney, lose their eyes because that damage is occurring right at that capillary bed. So in normal function, that's where a lot of the beautiful stuff happens, where we have nutrients coming into the body and waste products coming out. The lymphatics are also right around those capillary beds. And those lymphatics are doing what? This is all a fluid system, right? And so now it's a fluid system. Some of that fluid may not make it all the way back into the veins. So this fluid that's kind of getting discharged out, which is part of a normal, healthy process, gets picked up by the lymphatics, and that's what the lymphatics do. So lymphatics are kind of like our garbage keepers. They simply, it's like a vacuum. Keep sucking up all the good stuff. You know, in this case, it's all waste products because it's all CO2 and waste materials. And what's it do with them?
Discharge.
It takes them up into the liver, where it can detoxify and start the whole process all over again. It's an amazing system. So the cardiovascular system has a pump. What's that called? It's the heart, right? And that's how this whole system works, right? So the lymphatic system, just as important, right, doesn't have a pump. Well, it has a pump, but not like the heart. It's not like a built-in pump. What do you think pumps the lymphatic system? Exercise, exactly. Why does exercise make the lymphatic system work? Muscles. It's the muscles that pump those capillary beds where the lymphatics are, and that pushes the fluid through. So people that are exercising will have a healthy lymphatic system. That's why exercise is a very important part of the purification process, because it helps to get this flow. So it's all about getting this constant flow going, okay? Circulation going, oxygen going, CO2 leaving the body, so we can eventually eliminate, right? So when we get to the point of elimination, we have the colon, right? And the colon's, that's kind of the easy one in the sense of understanding how it eliminates. It simply comes out through number 2, right? Comes out through our stool, right? Then we have the kidneys. What are the kidneys doing? Urine. But what's happening? What are the kidneys doing? Filters, right? So it filters the blood, and it's really amazingly powerful at taking toxin materials and helping to also neutralize them and getting rid of them through urine. Okay. Yes, Joe.
What drives the pump of the vacuum?
The muscles. So think of it this way. So we know we have a heart system that pumps blood out from our heart into the arteries, right? That's the red part, going down. Capillary bed at the bottom. Exchange is happening. We have some fluid that's left on, well, just use the analogy, it's on the floor, okay? It's in the area, right? And the rest of it's going up through the veins. So we have this leftover fluid.
Right.
So just really think of it more like a vacuum. It's just sucking up this extra stuff so it can take it up into the liver to be processed and detoxified.
What causes
So-
that sucking part is my question.
The muscles.
Okay.
Yeah, it's all about
Is
muscles.
it possible to train the lymph system to
Yes.
work?
There are massage therapists that are trained in lymphatic massage, which are all about training. And another part about the lymphatic system, that's your lymph nodes. Heard about those, right?
Yes.
What do we hear about those from? Oftentimes in cancer,
Yes.
right? Spreading into lymph nodes. So how does the cancer spread? See,
Through the lymph node.
it sucks it up, gets into a lymph node.
Oh.
See? That's how the whole thing process happens. But it's also part of your immune system. And your immune system, that's our combatant part of our body. It's fighting the bad guys, right? So the lymph nodes are really cool. They're kind of like these little, like our headquarters, our military headquarters. Like all the good guys are in there. So the white blood cells are just heavy dose of them. And so you ever get like a really tender lymph node? And when do you get those? When you got an infection, right? So when you have an infection, what's your immune system doing? It's working harder. So your headquarters, you know, the sergeants and the armors and the colonels are all working overtime to make that system work harder. So that's where a lot of that stuff is generated in lymph nodes, pushing through the lymphatic system. So it's just about keeping circulation going. So we must have healthy stomach, good acid in our stomach, right? Gallbladder. What's the gallbladder do as part of this process?
Creates the oil to digest food.
Yes. So oils are very important. They help to break down. Why are oils important? Is it because like your brain is like 60% oil and water? So it's very important. Oils are very important also for the heart. And so what the gallbladder does, it does what we call emulsifies fats. Does anybody know what that means? Breaks it down, exactly. What's digestion? Well, from the very beginning. It's taking something big and making it small. It's easy, simple, big to small. And why does it have to go from big to small? Because the body can't use it if it's big. It needs to be small. So the gallbladder helps to break down those oil. And also, you mentioned bile. Thank you. So the bile is how the gallbladder moves toxic materials from the liver to the colon, so it can be processed out of the body. Some of it turns into histamine, different reactions inside the body. Not important. Okay, But what happens here is we have stomach, gallbladder, liver. We talked about the liver. Liver is detoxifying. Yes.
So, I have a girlfriend who ended up with gallbladder stones, and they had to remove her gallbladder. So how?
Well, I mean, maybe,
They tell you you don't need it.
maybe not. So I would say, I mean, what?
They removed her.
So my question would be, if I were to actually be talking to the surgeon, would be, well, how important really was it to remove the gallbladder?
Oh, okay.
Could you maybe create an incision, pull the stones out, put it back up, and leave the gallbladder there? What a concept. But, you know, and again, I don't want to, it's not my field, so I really can't speak into it, so I'm not about to do that, but there's just some things that kind of make me think a little bit, okay?
Just holds bile.
And
Bile is made by the liver.
what's one of the organs that that is radically removed by our bodies, from our bodies, by the medical industry, has been going on for years? Appendix. You know, and now the latest research is showing what? That the appendix. Okay, well, 30 years ago when we talked about the gut, we didn't know about the immune system in the gut. We didn't know about the brain in the gut. We didn't know those things. 80% of the immune system's in the gut, manufactured in the gut. All the different chemicals of neurotransmitters for brain function are made in the gut, and most of them. So we didn't know that. So, and how's the gut work? We're going to talk about the gut next week. But how's the gut work? It works by a certain, what's inside the gut that makes it work? Good bacteria, right? So good bacteria, good viruses, the healthy guys, okay? But oftentimes with the SAD, Standard American Diet, the SAD diet, that doesn't happen because why? Because we lose the ability for those good bacteria to be at high volume. So this life is not a vacuum. So if the good bacteria are gone, what comes in its place? The bad bacteria, right? Then we're in a situation where we can't really break those things down. So we're in a situation where we have, significant problems, okay? So it's really important to make sure that system's working properly. So, thank you. Brian got me. Thank you very much. So the appendix. So this is what's amazing. I mean, when I heard this, it's just like, oh, okay. Every once in a while, an understanding comes along that makes you just really understand the beauty of how God made our body. I mean, it's phenomenal. So here's a couple thoughts. There are twice as many by number of bacteria in your body, in your gut, than the number of cells in your body. So you are more bacteria than you are you. Interesting concept, right? They also have genetic potential, which is kind of another kind of interesting thought. But the bottom line is, God made that for a reason, so we're more symbiotic with our environment, which means we more work with our environment. I think we're on a bad path when we're trying to be over hygienic. I think that creates a problem. What do we do with our kids when they're in the playground? What does the kid naturally do? He eats dirt. So there's a natural part of populating the body with good bacteria. Back in the day when a kid had when a kid had measles, what would they do? They'd have a measles party. Everybody show up. Why?
So they don't
To get sick? What are you doing? Put that person in Child Protective Surfaces, CPS, Said, no, there's a reason for that. Because that way that young body can get a good dose of a natural, what? A natural immunization, right? Not the stuff that makes money, the natural form, okay? And get that body strong again. So, or make strong for the first time in that case, right? So we have all these good bacteria in our gut, right? So what's the most powerful way to lose that good bacteria?
Drugs.
Almost in a heartbeat. A specific drug. Antibiotic therapy, yes. Now, I'm not saying don't use antibiotics. Please don't take that as what I'm saying tonight. Antibiotics save lives. They do amazing things. I'm not about to remove that tool from the medical profession or speak bad of it. But I do like physiology. I do love the human body. I do believe it's important for us to know what happens in our body when we do certain things.
Yes.
And so there's only one, so you have to, it's a reality, whether you like it or not, that if you take an antibiotic, it kills bacteria. That's what they do. And they're not discriminate. They kill everything inside the body that they can get its hands on.
It affects
It will affect your immune system because it's killing the gut. And the gut makes 80%. And that's where you have this kind of crazy thing going on. Because you think about it from a physiology standpoint, right? It kind of doesn't make sense because why are you taking the antibiotic? To kick the infection, right?
Yeah.
And now while you're doing that, you're also wiping out your gut, which means you're removing 80% of your immune system, which makes it hard to keep from getting infected again. You know what I mean? So it's just a bit of a crazy mixture. But the point is this. In the appendix is what we were talking about. They have discovered the genetic makeup of your biome. That means all the bacteria that you've had in your gut. And I don't really have enough knowledge on this to really share this. I'm going to research this further. But it's pretty amazing that that little organ, the appendix, has a real purpose. Of course it has a purpose. You think God would make something in our body that doesn't have a purpose? So I think it's quite arrogant to remove an organ or a body part just because you don't think it belongs. I'm going to take your nose off you because I just don't think you look good with it. You know?
Can't figure out what it's for, so let's
It can't be good. So
And I can take more money from the insurance company.
again, and that's not the purpose of tonight. I'm not here. I just want to teach physiology. I want to teach normal body function. So when you're taking a drug or a medication or having a medical procedure, understand what the body does and be knowledgeable as to what might be some of the consequences of that activity that your doctor wants you to do. Bernie Siegel, I bring him up almost every class. Back in the 70s and 80s, he was a very, very great doctor, and he was really well known for helping people with cancer. And he clearly said, the patients that do the best, the cancer patients that have the most success, are the patients that doctors hate. Because of one reason. They ask questions. So we want to be educated. We want to be understanding. So we don't want to simply take my advice or any doctor's advice carte blanche without some investigation or at least another opinion or at least some kind of awareness of what you're looking at. Okay. So, but I believe you always go back to basic physiology. That's why I like to teach basic body function. At least have a good idea of what you're looking at. Yes, Brian.
So the purpose of the appendix was discovered to be a reboot for the good bacteria.
Yes. Yep.
A what?
Yep. And I got more research to do on that. I wanted to see in more detail exactly what that is. But
Yes.
kind of like a rebooting the flora. So it gives the ability to rebuild. But I don't really know if we can recapture that flora from the sand pit or not. It's interesting whether that can be done or not.
You need all the other things.
Yeah. But of course, again, so let's talk practicality. You know, you got a raving infection. Doc says you need antibiotics. You tried all the natural stuff. You're in trouble. You need to take it. So guess what? What do? You take it. You understanding physiology, though. You understand, no, my gut's going to go through a really bad time. So what do I need to do?
Probiotics.
I need to refill the good bacteria. I need to make sure it's good and healthy shape. I need to make sure I'm eating well. Maybe purify the body. Just get the body in really, really a good, healthy place so that I can kind of get through this. Okay, which you should be doing anyway if you have a cold or a flu or an infection anyway, because it's going to help your immune system work better, even without the drug, right? So, at the point of elimination, we have kidneys, which filters the blood, excretes toxins, lymphatics, which you talked a lot about, removes the garbage from the tissues, respiratory tract. Lungs, they stop toxins from coming in, release the CO2, brings good oxygen in, and the skin. Skin, largest organ in the body. Number one, skin. Powerful, powerful organ. We don't even think about it as an organ, but it does. It protects us. It has thermal function, keeps it from getting cold or too hot. It's amazing, amazing organ. Secretes toxins in the sweat. So it's important, just as toxins can come out, as we talked about, toxins can come in. And so we talked about hormones a little bit. So what's one of the things we want to be really careful of if we don't want to get a hormone toxicity from another person? Make sure you're not skin to skin after a person applies a hormone to themselves. Very important. Okay? So you got to keep
You
it.
should avoid skin to skin with a sweaty person?
Yes. If they just took hormones.
Okay.
But sweaty, no. No, your body's defense mechanism should be strong enough to deal with that. Okay? And if it's not, then eat better. All right. So here's let's make it real. So what are some of the most common problems that people deal with? Not conditions, not diagnosis, not disease, just how a person feels. What are some of those common things that people feel or experience in life, quality of life things, that sometimes go south? that don't,
Energy?
lack of energy, like number one, right? Lack of energy. What else?
Sleep.
Focus, mental clarity, right? Sleep, absolutely. What else?
Calm. Anxiety.
Digestion, like indigestion, heartburn, just not feeling good in your belly, right? Anxiety, right? What else? Weight gain, unexplained weight gain, or weight that I just can't seem to get rid of. These are just common things. So I've been doing purification now with standard process for 20 years. And it is by far the most life-changing program that I've helped people go through. And one of the things I love about it is that I talk to a person before they start. I talk to them what we're recommending them to eat. And sometimes it's like, oh, I'm not sure I can do that, right? Sometimes I bring a person into it kind of kicking and screaming, but I can see the desire. I can see they want to make that change. They just don't know if they can. I tell my patients all the time, there's only one thing that's required for purification. One thing only. Not the ability, not the knowledge. Desire is the only thing. And if it's a true desire, then we can help you, coach you, get you through this process very, very, very successfully. In fact, I did the numbers on this some time ago. 90% of our patients that start purification end purification. And pretty much 90% will do this, have this conversation with me. Even the people that come in kicking and screaming. So kicking and screaming, right? So I got to backtrack a little bit. So I've been doing chiropractic work and nutrition work for 35 years. So that'd be 1981. That's when I started. This office opened in 1983. Been here the whole time. So in 84, 85, that's when I started doing a lot more nutrition work, right? That's actually when I started with standard process. So I've been in standard process since 1985. So people would come in and I would tell them, you need to eat this, stay away from this, stay with, and they come back, oh doc, I kind of did it, but I didn't do it. Oh gosh, eat this, stay away from this, stay with this. Well, I kind of did it, didn't kind of do it. It's like, as a doctor, it's like, oh my gosh, this is like stupid. It's like, these people don't do this. They don't really care. They don't really care what I'm telling them because I wasn't understanding. I was young. I didn't understand that it's a lifestyle and it's an emotional thing and there's different factors that are part of it. But one thing I did realize at that time and recognize very clearly is that you can have it here, but if you don't have it here, you don't have it. And so I could tell you, and you already knew it anyway, but you're not going to apply it. One of the worst things a person can do, I know it's just a sign of failure instantaneously, is when they say, I will try.
Oh, yeah.
That's simply saying, hey, doc, talk to you later. See you Monday.
I try.
Because here's my line. James, try to shake my hand. Try to shake my hand. Just try. It doesn't do it. So a person, and that's okay. If that's where you're at, that's okay too. But you have to ask yourself, am I ready to make that step? And that's when you do that, right? Then you have that desire to do that. Okay. So I would take a person into purification, kicking and screaming, and then routinely, at the end of purification, I would ask them. And so at first it would kind of shock me. Now I expect it. What do you want to eat? Thinking, oh, I can't wait to have my bread. I can't wait to have my cookies. I can't wait to have. They say to me, what do you mean? Deer in the headlights look. It's like, what do you mean? What do you want to eat now? Your purification's over with. What do you want to eat? I'm not changing anything. Why would they say that? Because they feel better. They're sleeping, their digestion's improved, they have peace, they have sleeps that are so deep they've never had them before, they're more cognitive, they've lost some weight, they're just feeling better. Why would the person have that type of experience? Why does that happen? It happens all the time. Why does that happen?
You give your body what it wants.
This whole thing. We don't realize the power of SAD. We don't realize the power of toxicity. We don't realize how all those chemicals flowing through our body cloud our thinking, make our guts uncomfortable, give us uncomfortable sleep at night, and create anxiety. We don't recognize the connection. And that's why you won't do it if I tell you not to eat it, because it's just not making a connection. And that's why I love purification. Not only for the health benefit that a person receives, but also that now they get it. That's up to them, right? I'm going to coach them, help them, support them, of course. But it's really up to them. And now they have an opportunity to maybe make a new life. Like that one person I started the class with today. Had the connection between the back and the gut. And she and her husband did purification together recently. And so they're very clear. They are very clear. So this is how I eat. Whole food. Because I know when I get off, I can feel it. Now, why does that happen? That's kind of interesting. Now, wait a second here. You take a person that's very toxic, right? And they're eating what? Garbage food all the time, right? They feel miserable, but if they eat a hamburger or they eat a cheesecake, they don't instantly feel sick, right? It's just part of their chemistry, right? You get that person cleaned up, and all of a sudden they're sleeping, and they have energy, and they lost some weight, and their digestion feeling good. Now they had that cheesecake, and they felt, ugh! Why? They've been eating those every day and not having that reaction. Why? The body is really wise. I like to think about the body kind of like as another character in a way. And I kind of look at it this way. Oh, he's paying attention to me now. Or she's paying attention to me now. Meaning that, oh, this feels good. I got some good nutrients in me. This is really fun. I'm enjoying this. You're creating a happy body. And that now, because otherwise it's like boom, 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 boom. You get tired of that. And the body says, I'm done talking to you. Let me know when you're interested. So you have this going on, but you don't have that rip in your stomach, or you don't have that instant headache. But now you cleanse, right? The body's going, wow, pretty cool. Keep going upstairs. This is really good. Doing a good job, right? So now you're clean, and then you eat that cheesecake. You have an instant headache, or instant here, okay? Because the body is now saying, okay, you get it. I know you get it, so I'm going to tell you about it. quickly, so that at least you kind of have an understanding. Again, my patient this morning, how did she feel it when she got off program? Lancinating back pain, level 9, level 10 pain, couldn't walk, taking drugs to make herself feel better. Serious pain coming from here. Chiropractic too, but mostly here. And now she knows if she's off program, her body's telling her here. So my point is this. A person won't change their lifestyle until they get it here. And one of the reasons why I love purification is been the one tool in my practice that routinely, time after time after time, helps a person get it and understand it on their level, not mine. And then I can just support them. So when I ask them that question, what do you want to eat? And they go, I'm not changing anything. I'm not surprised anymore. This is part of that, part of that process. Yes, Nancy.
Yeah, and I just wanted to share.
Can you come up for a second?
Okay, sure.
I would like you to share this. Okay, thank you.
Wow.
This is Nancy.
Hi, everybody. So I'm, about 3 weeks?
Yeah, 3 weeks into purification.
And as soon as when I came to Dr. Rolls, I didn't even know if I could eat that way. I mean, I've been on every diet in the book. I had a gastric sleeve. I mean, everything. But I still was a lot heavier than I am now. And so I said, well, I don't know if I can do it. I went home and, there's a lot of support in this office. And I said, I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to do it. And as soon as I started eating this way, I felt like I'd taken a shower on the inside. I really did. And I felt a lot of energy. And I got out of the mental battle. Because for me, not to label it, but food was really an addiction. And so I got out of that battle of, oh my God, I ate too much of that hamburger, or why did I have the fries? Or, I got out of all that. And it's very simple. I have salads, I have fruit, I have healthy foods.
And what are some of the symptoms that have changed?
I have more energy. I've lost weight. I'm definitely happier. I sleep better. Everything.
So the things we talked about, right? And how are you going to change your diet next week when you're off the purification?
Not.
So, thank you for sharing that. See?
Aw, congratulations.
And that's what we see time and time again. And that's when I started saying, Oh, this is wonderful. So, thank you, Nancy. Very, very kind of you to share. Yes.
I've been doing this for a year.
Uh huh.
I did this.
Here, come up here.
Yeah, I've been doing this for a year. I did this whole 21-day thing a year ago, like last June, last year. And since then, I've been sticking with the food, doing the vegetables, lots of vegetables. I eat kale straight now. Like, I go to the fridge and I grab kale. I'm just like,
Well,
oh.
So, what were you doing before?
Oh, before I was eating like, just whatever I wanted, whatever looked good. Mostly processed food, that kind of stuff. And I was also 50 pounds heavier. And, I can say this. After doing this for a whole year, and I don't want to stop doing it. And when I do eat, like meat, I can feel it now. It's icky. I'm just saying, I wanted to let you know this. Because I don't eat meat now that much. And when I do, it doesn't feel right. That thing that you said about sometimes after you haven't been doing it for a while, I noticed meat was one of the things I started removing from my diet for good. So I'm just telling you that you can get all the nutrients you need. There's tons of protein and vegetables. You also 15 years of being on omeprazole, gone. I don't even have acid reflux anymore. So look,
That's that purple pill, right?
that purple pill I was on for 15 years is gone.
Yeah.
I got off of 6 synthetic medications too by cleansing my body. So hey, it's worth it.
Thanks, Chase. Right. But the point is, by really working with the physiology of the body, you can really create a situation where the body really starts to work for you. Now, I'm really excited right now because Standard Process doesn't change a lot of things. It's a company that started in the 1930s by Dr. Royal Lee. And he founded the company. He's a very brilliant man. He actually was an inventor as well. He actually invented some of the tools that were used in the war for gyroscopic type of devices that a lot of the pilots used. But he applied his understanding. He applied his understanding to. Let's see if I can get this to work right. He applied his understanding to food. He's a dentist by training, but his wife got ill, and he also has a farming background. So he wanted to bring food, real food, into a form that could be taken orally, capsule or pill, but the food, not something you made in a lab, not a vitamin B or a vitamin C. He wanted the food. His very first product was called Catalin. Catalin has about 30 different foodstuffs in it, carrots and kale and Brussels sprouts. And also to have different organ meats and different things like that, because organ meats are also very healthy and very powerful for the body. And he thought that would be the only supplement he'd have to make, called Catalin, whole body supplement. And he really made it for his wife, because she was ill, and it helped her. And so, because he recognized his statement is, kind of like what I'm saying here, all disease is a form, in one shape or another, of malnutrition. Just not getting the nutrients that the body needs for proper function. And in most situations, probably 90%, given the proper nutrients in your body, then the body can function properly. Now, that's not the case for everybody, because as we get older and we have more problems, the body becomes more unable to make some change, perhaps. Okay, but you can never lose out. So that's where he started. And so Standard Process is a very, very solid company. It's been family owned the whole time. I went out to Wisconsin where the farms are at. These are like organic farms, and they simply take it's called from seed to supplement. So they pull the plants out, they process it. He invented systems, different machines that can maintain as much of the quality of that nutrient as possible as they made it smaller and smaller and smaller until it got to a pill. So no additives, no colorings, no agents, no fillers, just the real stuff. Okay, and then they incorporate animal products as well. We mentioned about meat. Just a little bit as far as what I teach. I don't feel people should be vegan. It's not my position. My position, a person should eat like a vegan. What does that really mean? Tons of vegetables. Every meal, huge salad. Every meal. Huge salad. Greens, grains, nuts, seeds, beans, every meal. And yet, there are foods that are not on a vegan list that are very, very powerful. Heart, liver, kidney, pancreas. Now, we wouldn't eat those things. They used to. Some people still do. Oh my gosh, I gotta share that story. I share it every time recently. What's the name of the place? Seafood City. New store in Vegas. It's Korean? Asian, excuse me. So Asian market, they have brain there, they have intestine there. Oh my gosh. And I'm a crazy person when it comes to eating healthy things. I just love it, you know. But the thought of buying blood or buying intestine, it's like, oh, I couldn't go there. So I buy the pills instead. But the point is, eating like a vegan, lots of vegetables, okay. But the organ meats are very powerful, and also bone broth is also very powerful, which is not on the vegan list, right? So I believe that's really how a person really should eat, is just lots and lots and lots of vegetables, and try to get as many of those in your body as possible. And that's another reason why I love purification, is because what are you eating in purification? Tons of vegetables. So you know how some weight loss programs have you do different programs so you lose the weight, and then when you're done with the program, they expect you to do something entirely different and keep the weight off. You know, like taking a pill or a potion or doing something, right? Eating a lot of protein or something was they don't want you doing it forever. Well, I want you to do this forever. Eat lots of vegetables, okay? Because part of purification is not just about fasting. It's about I love this, infusion of nutrients and micronutrients into the body, which you do with whole food. So part of the program is eating whole food. It's not starvation. As a matter of fact, during purification, you can eat as much as you want. It's not a fast. Unlimited. Try to eat as many vegetables as you can.
Doesn't matter what kind.
Doesn't matter what kind. Starch is maybe a little bit, but think about it. Can you overeat? Can you truly overeat a vegetable meal? It's nearly impossible. And why is that? High in fiber, high in volume, high in water, high in nutrients. Fill your stomach up, as opposed to cheese or meat, which are small and dense, or you can fill yourself up that really easily and feel like, ooh.
So when you're making salad, I make my own dressings. Are you allowed to have dressings?
Absolutely. And the main thing on dressings, great question, you want to stay away from dairy products and sugar. That's the primary thing. So as long as you're staying away from those two, you're good. And one of the best way to make your salad dressing, if you want to actually make them, then make them from nuts, cashews, almonds. I would recommend doing the actual nuts. Ground them down. Yeah, put them in a blender. Yeah. Dr. Furman has some great recipes on salad, well, all kinds of things, but particularly salad dressings. Cashew, really amazing. So I want to talk about the program itself as far as the supplements are concerned. So standard process, I was mentioning, a very, very respectful, I would say conservative company, doesn't make a lot of radical changes. So they come out and say, okay, we have a new shake for the purification program. I've been doing purification for 20 years. I hear they got a new shake. It's like, oh, gosh, don't tell me. Because purification has been successful, very successful. So I wasn't so sure about this new shake, right? So as with everything I try to become the guinea pig first. So I donated my body and Susie's body. And so we did it for a month. Oh my gosh, this new shake is crazy good. What they did in the old program, you had to take a product called SP Cleanse. And SP Cleanse was for liver detoxification. That required 21 pills a day. And I would just tell patients, it's a lot of pills. If you get through the first week, then you're okay because you don't have to keep taking it more than 7 days. All those are in the shake. So that reduces 21 pills a day from the get-go. Okay? Also in the shake is your whole food fiber, which we also used to recommend to add to the shake. The fiber's in there. Okay? So the detox shake has elements for detoxification, has the fiber in there, has all the different nutrients in there as well. And so it's also tremendous because after purification, I believe, quite honestly, it's the best one-day shake that you can buy. 1 second. And the reason why I feel it's the best one-day shake you can buy is because another pattern I've seen with people, at the end of purification, even if they're staying on a good, healthy eating program, sometimes they don't maintain that success. Sometimes the sleeping is not quite as good, or the energy is not quite as good. And I look at those systems and try to understand more about what that is. And what always came down to me was, again, back to the liver and back to the digestive system. So I'll use different products to try to support a person afterwards. That's the beauty of this new shake, because the shake has a mild element of purification in it. So if you take one shake a day when you're all done with purification, it's a great way to keep that whole detoxification system process moving without overpowering that whole system. So it's very powerful. Questions?
So why is it sometimes when you're taking a fiber, you just avoid sugar?
Because the bowels are not moving properly. That's the most common reason. Because what is fiber? Fiber is typically a product like a psyllium husk. Have you ever put fiber in a glass of water? It expands, right? So that's what it does. So it goes in your gut, it expands. So if that can stimulate peristalsis. Does anybody know what that means? Peristalsis is the squeezing of the gut muscles so it pushes the poop out. Okay, that's how it works, right? And so it can expand, that can create a reflux, and it pushes so that it makes you go to the bathroom. That's how it works. But guess what happens? If your muscles aren't toned enough, not strong enough, why would we get, well, anybody ever think about the gut as a muscle? Anybody ever think about the gut as a muscle? Well, it is a muscle. It's a tube of muscle. Matter of fact, how does it push food through?
Yeah.
Peristaltic wave. It's like it's a wave. That's muscle. So that tube is a muscle. So how do you exercise the gut? Go to the gym, right? No, that doesn't work. You run. No, that doesn't work. How do you exercise the gut? How do you get the muscles of the gut to get stronger? Have it working, exactly. How do you get the gut working? Fiber, exactly. Celery, vegetables, whole food, right? So if you're already on a good movement of good, healthy foods, and if you need a little bit of assistance, you take some more fiber, usually that'll work. It's a sign. If you blow it up, you take a fiber substance, it's a sign that your gut's probably not healthy or maybe weak. Okay, and then that's part of purification because it helps to rebuild. Now, good question: would a 28-day purification program improve the muscular integrity of your gut? Why? Yes, that's true. Why? Because you're eating fiber, but also you're eating low. What are you eating? I mean, I was telling a patient this story today too. It took me 15 purification programs on my own body to finally get it. After the 15th purification that I did, I'm sitting there going, man, I feel good. But then the second thought was, why do I go back? If I feel so good now, why do I go back? So I'm trying to think, okay, what's the difference? What's the difference in my life? What's the difference in my life? So I kept thinking about when I did purification, what looked different. Kind of going in my brain, kind of looking at different images. And I saw my refrigerator. Because during purification, what did my refrigerator look like? It looked like a garden. Okay? And that's when I got it. And right around that time, there was a program that was challenging us to consider doing a vegan lifestyle for 90 days. I joined up. I went vegan for 90 days, did a radical change in my body, and that's when I really got it, even reference to practice, that food is more important than the pills I sell. Food is more important than the supplements you take. But if you take supplements, you want to make sure the supplements are food. So it's because we're not going to eat the organ meats. You know what I mean? So you want to balance, okay? But you have to have foundation food. You can't just expect to get the benefit. This is the benefit of life here. When you recognize how the body works and what the body can do, and you can't expect it to work if you're taking vitamins, which are good things, right? And you go to McDonald's. It's not going to work. I don't care how good your vitamins are. It's not the foundation. The foundation of your health is not the vitamin pill. There's nothing like that on earth. Okay, that's why if they did, the guy would not be working anymore. No. This has to be life first. Okay, so the shake is awesome, and they changed the program from a 21-day program to a 28-day program, which I also thought was a concern at first. I thought, why do they do that? I don't want to do that. I want to keep it 21 days because it's easier to think about when you go into the program. Then I thought about it more. Okay, 28 days. What usually happens at day 21 in my practice? Well, the person telling me they don't want to change anything. So is that day from 21 to 28 hard for that patient? No, it's what they do anyway. I think, oh, okay, 28 days, I can live with that. I just have to help a person get over the hump of, hey, are you serious? Once you get over that hump, then you're okay. But the difference between 21 and 28 is really not a big deal. Okay. Saipan, beta food, Gymnema, tuna fish oil. These are the supplements that are part of the program. Zypan is stomach juice. What's in stomach juice? What have we talked about? It's acid. So inside the Zypan is acid and enzymes. Why? Why?
To digest.
Because we want a stomach with a 2.0 pH. Likelihood yours may not be that. So we add a little bit more acid. If you haven't had an ulcer, if it's normal in the way it's functioned, the body can take that. In fact, it can not only take that, it loves it because now it can start to work.
That's when I quit my omeprazole when I started on this.
Yeah, this is the most powerful product you can get off the purple pill, is Zypan. And isn't that interesting? The most powerful way to get off the antacid is to take acid, as long as you don't have an ulcer. Now, if you have an ulcer, you have to use enzymes. Beta food. Beta food is for the gallbladder. So beta food, the primary substance in beta food is, starts with B, beets. Yes. And beets are extremely healthy for gallbladder.
Gallbladder, yeah.
And the gallbladder works with oils. Emulsifying the oils, breaking down the oils. Those omega-3 oils we know are so important for the heart and for the brain, right? And also helping detoxification, getting the toxins out of the liver. So that's very important, isn't it? So we want the stomach to be working properly. That's number one. That's the Zypan. We want the beta food to be working properly. We want the gallbladder working properly. I see that guy's right here. I didn't draw on him. He's right here. We want the gallbladder working properly. Gymnema. That's an herb. Why is that in the program? Anybody want to take a guess? Pancreas. Blood sugar. Gymnema is the only documented herb that has shown the ability to regenerate cells in the island of Langerhans, which is in the pancreas, which means that that herb can help teach the body to rebuild the cells that make insulin, which gives you the ability to reduce your insulin.
Yeah. Why aren't doctors giving that?
It's not a drug.
Cinnamon is good.
These are journal peer-reviewed studied articles on Gymnema. Well documented, clearly understood. I don't know why they don't
They don't want
use
you to
it.
heal, I guess.
Well, again, I don't think it goes there. I just think it's more a style of practice. I really do.
don't know.
Okay.
Or lack of knowledge.
Or desire to go that direction. Tuna fish oils. The fish oils, why are they important? You know, they really don't have to be part of purification.
For the brain and the
But part of purification is not just for healing. Part of purification is to create a lifestyle. Just remember when I talked about the food? I want a person to have an experience where at the end of the program they're feeling great, and it's because of the food they're eating plus some of the pills they're taking, but they feel good. And so that when they go on to maintenance, they don't have to change a lot of things. In fact, they don't want to change anything. So one of the reasons why I include the fish oils is because fish oils are so important for people to take. Important for your brain, important for your heart. So we make it part of the program. Okay? So these here.
So all of that is in the shake?
Nope. This is the shake. These are pills, 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 pills. Okay? So this is reduced to about 21 pills a day. So you're still taking pills, but not nearly as much. Let's talk about that. This comes from last week's class. And it's online, by the way, now. You can go to YouTube, type in Green Valley Chiropractic, look for the class on whole food nutrition. But synthetic vitamins versus whole food vitamins. Okay? We talked last week about this, right? It's no different than synthetic white bread and whole wheat.
Yeah.
Or white sugar and honey. We know these are bad, so synthetics are just as bad. In fact, they can be quite harmful. That was the topic for last week. But the reason I bring it up is because I don't remember why I brought it up. What did you ask me?
About the pills.
About the number of pills. Thank you. We want food in your body. Food. Not synthetics. Not chemicals. We want food. So can you understand how you may have to take a few more pills? Because if we squeeze it down too tight or if we refine it too much to make those pills smaller, we may not have the food anymore. It just can't fit any smaller than what it is. So me have to take 6 tablets instead of 2. What are drugs? What are the size of most drugs? Very small. Powerful chemical agents. That's because they're synthesized, they're made in a lab. This is food we're talking about. So yes, you do have to take pills, and that's part of the process. But that's part of the process of getting healthy, you know. So what I like to do in this program is to wrap it up in a program that I love. Because I feel that, you know, and I've gone back and forth on this quite a bit. I've wanted to offer purification just straight off the street. So you can just do purification. But I have a hard time doing that. So let me share with you what I like to do so you get a more idea of what I do. Okay? So a person comes in, I like to have a consultation with them first. What are your goals? What are your dreams? What are your desires? What are you having problems with? Okay? I don't charge for that. We just talk. Try to figure out where to go. Is purification the best call for you? Make that decision, right? So let's say we decide to do purification. So that also encompasses an exam. What do we do in an exam? We check digestion. We check the liver. We check the gallbladder. We check the adrenals. We check iodine. We check zinc. We check body composition. We check fat. We check muscle mass. We check bone mineral content. We check cellular vitality. Why? Because we want to get some data. I charge $40 for that. All that data, $40. So we have a starting point. Then we go through the program, right? Now during the program, what I also like to provide is support. So that way weekly you can talk to somebody on the phone, you can email, or you can be here in the office directly, and you have someone to work with you, to coach you, to encourage you. We like to, if people are coming in here, we like to teach you some exercise also, because we want you moving your body. So that's part of the program, okay? And then at the end of the program, what would we want to do again? We want to test again. How'd your fat percentage go? How'd your weight go? How'd your bone mass go? How'd your cellular vitality shift? How's your digestive system? How's your gut working? So we can see. And I charge $40 for that. So what do we want to end up with? What do we do next? So from that information, then I can meet with a person and go over exactly what we'd recommend. So that whole process of examining, support, and coaching and teaching is $120. So we do all the clinical stuff, and we can do that in the office or outside the office. So those are on Facebook. We can do it in different states. It doesn't have to be here locally, okay? But that's what makes the program. So the cost of the program with the supplements and with the coaching and the examinations is $496. We're offering a 10% discount on that program tonight, okay, for those that are interested for the next 3 days. You don't have to do anything tonight. However, if you did sign in and you have interest in doing purification, put the letter P next to your name so we know. But with everybody that's interested, I'm going to recommend a consultation first, whether it's over the phone or it's in person. Because we want to make sure we're making the right choice. You may think you want purification. Probably you do. Probably I'm going to say that, but let's make sure. Okay, so that's part of consultation, you know, and then we walk through the process. And if it's something you really, really want to do, but finances are just kind of getting in the way, talk to me. The only reason I do it the way I'm doing it because I know it's the best way to do it. I want to coach you, I want to test you, I want to show you, okay? And I know it drives up the price, okay? But we have to make it work somehow. So if you really want to do it, but you don't know how to do it financially, just call me, talk to me, we'll try to figure it out, okay? But that's really the best way, okay? So next week we're going to teach on the gut. It's a great, great class. Talk about the immune system, talk about the brain. And then in 2 weeks we're going to have a potluck. Woohoo! And a summer potluck. Lots of salad.
It was good last year.
Yeah, we did it last year. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. We invite Facebook too. But so in 2 weeks we'll do that. That's the day after Labor Day. And then after that, our next class after that will be thyroid. And then we'll be starting our once-a-month series after that. And by that time, I am pretty confident, and I'm hoping that the library has room for us. We'll have a room across the street at the library, so I have to be in these cramped quarters. Okay. So if you have interest in, and now, even though I made this offer for purification, If you simply want to have questions answered, if you simply want to get a consultation, I don't charge for that, whether it's by phone or in person. So just let us know. And if you're online, you can send us an email or send us the link, send us an email or call us. It's 702-451-0480. The email address is FD for front desk at gvwellness.com. GV for Green Valley. So FD at gvwellness.com. Just send us an email if you have interest in a consultation. Again, because I don't want to be unavailable because of finances. So I don't charge for consultations. We can just always do that. And sometimes in a consultation, guess what I end up with doing with a person? I'll take 20 minutes with you because I love what I do. I'll talk to you, and if I make a recommendation for you, I say, Doc, I really want to do that, but I can't afford to do that. So I say, well, in the meantime, do this. I'll give you a diet. I'll give you some recommendations, give you some exercise to do, something to do, so you can make a change in your life. Because it's not about sales. It's not about trying to make things happen, business-wise. It's about the person and addressing each person at a level they can. So I'm here to help you as best I can, do it in the way that really best works for you. And so that's the whole intent. So if you want a consultation, contact us or circle your name. If you want a consultation, circle your name on the sign-up sheet. If you haven't signed up, you can do that. It's right here. If you want to do purification, put a P by your name. If you want to come to class, come to class next week. And also, next week I'll have a sign-in sheet for what you want to bring for the potluck. Assuming you want to bring something. I'll bring plenty of food, so I actually may bring some meat. But I really encourage it. It's a fun. I mean, the last time we did it, we had people. Actually, we made a category. Bring the food you love, something you really enjoy, something that has a story behind it. It's really amazing because people have, food's culture. It doesn't have to be bad food to be a great story. And so it's a great time to share, and so it's a lot of fun. Bring the kale. All right, Chase. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for tuning in tonight. We'll see you all next week.
Thank you.